Today I would like to talk about the concept of sin in a new way that you might not have heard of it before, but one that I believe I'm learning, which is really important. So, in order to do that, a quick review of the contemporary and common definition of sin. Well, doing things wrong, breaking the law, breaking God's law, more specifically. Doing harmful, bad things, right? We all know that. But there's a deeper connotation, and I would like to actually propose that those other things, those more conventional sins, are just symptoms. Just symptoms of the more real, more true definition of the word sin. And to do that, we're going to talk about Spanish for a minute. In Spanish, the word sin, S-I-N, or S, right? S-I-N. S-I-N, pronounced sin, means without. In Spanish, when you say sin, like if you're ordering a burrito and you say sin crema, it means without cream, like I like them because I don't like sour cream. Or if you don't like onions, sin cebolla, right? So it means without. And that, to me, is a much better definition, a much more thorough definition, and a much more real definition of sin. Because it indicates that we are without what we need to do the good stuff. And without getting into a whole deep philosophical debate about why that is, or we'll just touch a little bit on what it is. I'm sure there's encyclopedias written about all that other stuff, but just to help, my goal on this channel is to always help you and to help people. Sometimes I can be a little judgmental, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to help. So, without, what are we without? We are, apart from God, we are without inherent goodness. I made a video on here and I said that people are inherently good. And I should have been more clear. I should have said people are inherently good from God. People are good because God makes them good. So you're a good person, I'm a good person, but we need to understand where that goodness comes from. It comes from God. But because of all those deep theological things that I'm not going to talk about right now, we have found ourselves in a state of being without some of that goodness, right? And it's really deep. It's much more than just a knowledge of good and bad and just acting on it. It's like God is goodness, and God is pureness, and God is completely perfect, right? That's who He is. And we are His creation, and for all those deep theological reasons, we find ourselves without, to a degree, right? Without that stuff. So, what do we need? We need it. We need that stuff, right? Where do we get it? We get it from God. And that's a more accurate definition of sin because it doesn't put all this guilt and shame on you of needing to get your act together. Like, you're sinning, stop it, right? Because it actually deals with the heart of the issue. Inside of human beings, we are, because of many theological issues that I'm not going to talk about right now, in general, as a human race, without a lot of the things that we need, right? To be good. I don't really think anybody could really argue too much with that. I know some people could, but it's kind of obvious from looking at the world, right, that we're missing some stuff, right? I think we can all kind of agree. So, anyways, So if the problem is that we're without it, we need to get it. And how do you get that? You get it through Christ. You get it through God. Not simply belief in them. That's a start. Belief is where you start. But then you get it in actually knowing Him and learning to be united with Him and receiving from Him all of His love, all of His solutions, all of His peace, all of His goodness, all of His everything, so that what? We are then with Him, and in that being with Him, we have the goodness that we need. And then those more symptomatic sins, they just sort of fall off, right? You don't really have to work hard at it. You don't have to sit there and strive based simply on knowledge of good and bad, right and wrong. You actually receive God's everything in a spiritual sense, in a soul sense, and it recreates you and it fills you and it gives you exactly what you need and more, so that you're no longer without it. And those more surface things, smoking, drinking, cussing, etc., fill in the blanks, right? I pick on those because a lot of people pick on those, but there are obviously tons more. They naturally just kind of fall off, right? So not just having a belief in Jesus, that's a start. It's a good place to start. You got to believe in Him. We do agree with that, but it has to go beyond that to where you know Him and you live in Him and from Him and all these things that the Bible teaches us about living in Christ and in God. And then we are with